Okay, the first thing you want to do is you want to take the decal out of the box, unravel them, and put the decal down on the floor in the direction it's supposed to face. So it doesn't have to line up, but you know this is your center panel, here's your top panel, and here's your bottom panel. So this is done for a couple of reasons. You want to make sure first that it does fit indeed inside the circle, and secondly you want to make sure the logo is facing in the correct direction. If you want it to go this way, obviously you want to put it down that way. And it's just a good way to confirm that. Once you're sure that this is where you want the logo to go, I'll turn it back this way, then you want to deal with the center panel first, so you can take these away. With the center panel, the first thing you want to do is there's a white dot that is printed on the floor decal. You want to find that white dot, and that will line up exactly with a nail hole that is in the center of the circle. This circle is 12 feet in diameter, so the center hole is exactly 6 feet from here, and also from here. If you can't find the nail hole to line up the white dot with the nail hole, then all you do is place the center panel down in the circle and measure down from just outside the circle to the white dot. That should be exactly 6 feet, exactly. Once you find that and you know that your center panel is now centered in the circle, you want to take the game lines that we've printed right here, and you want to line them up with the actual center court line. And so I'm doing the top one first. Again, don't move too much because you can't move this center spot from the nail hole. But once you've gotten that down, just slightly adjust it so that your printed half court line lines up exactly with your actually painted half court line. Once you have that, I would typically take a small piece of tape. Could be masking tape, is probably ideal, 1-inch masking tape. Once you have that lined up, I go ahead and anchor it down. Then I go down to the bottom. It might end up looking like this, where it's not perfectly lined up. You know you're lined at the top. I will go ahead and line the bottom up again exactly, and I'll take another piece of tape and I will anchor it down. Make sure it's exactly lined up, anchor it down. Then I'll always go back and check and make sure this didn't move. So I'll pull this piece of tape up. Okay, you're still lined up. So now it is anchored. What you want to then do is take a long piece of tape. 2-inch masking tape is ideal, but it can be 1-inch masking tape or this blue painter's tape. And you want to actually center, put a hinge, what we call a hinge, all the way down the middle of the decal, extending beyond the top and beyond the bottom. And then you want to take a couple of small pieces, that's called your hinge. Then you want to take a couple of small pieces and actually anchor the rest of one side of the decal down, just so it doesn't slide around. It can be a couple pieces, that's fine. Once you've done that, now you want to pull back the other side of the decal, the other half that has not been anchored down. You pull it back and you want to carefully, it's best to put it on the floor. And instead of pulling, you don't want to pull the decal from the paper, you actually want to lay it down and pull the paper from the decal. So we press the decal down, separate the paper, and this is where it's helpful to have another guy, because one guy can be holding the decal down while the other guy is pulling the paper off. Now this is a little more difficult here because we didn't laminate this ink. This vinyl has not been laminated, and it's also just been printed, so it's a little gooey and pretty pliable. But your piece of decal will have laminate on it, and it'll be a lot more rigid than this. But again, you want to hold the decal down, pull the backing paper off until you get to the center hinge, then take a pair of scissors and just start a little cut, or you can cut all the way through, but if you start a little cut, then you can actually tear it, kind of like this. And it should tear a straight line. It's better though to take the scissors and cut right through. Now, what you want to do is, again, this is where it helps to have two people. The guy grabs each side of the decal, and you want to be careful that it doesn't double up on itself, and you want to just stand it up. This is 6 feet of material now, so as you come up, it's going to be around eye level, and you want to get it back over to this side, and at about a 45-degree angle, one guy should hold it, like right like that, maybe even less than 45 degrees. And as he's holding it, the other person is taking the squeegee and just slowly, like maybe a couple inches at a time, he's just going to squeegee down all the way, strokes back and forth, all the way to the edge of the decal, and he's going to start to squeegee it down. If you start to get a wrinkle like that, just gently pull. It's harder to do this again because it's not the low-tack vinyl, but you just gently pull the decal up, work the little bubble out or the little seam, and again, just work back and forth until you get to the end. And I'm just going to be quick and a little sloppy with this. So now you have this half of your decal is down, it's secure, and it should line up with your center court circle. If it doesn't, if it's a little off, that's not a big deal. You can come back at the end and trim it. Then you pull up your hinge. You pull up your little anchor pieces, and you do the exact same thing now with this side. This side's a little easier because all you have to do is fold it back, pull off the backing paper, expose the decal. Again, two guys can walk this around, hold it at about a 45. You're holding it like this, nice and flat, maybe a little less than a 45-degree angle, and do the same process. And you're just gradually, nice long smooth passes back and forth with the squeegee until you get to the end. And again, it should line up with your center circle. Now you're ready to start the next panel. We'll do the top. You take the panel, and the first thing you want to do is you want to line it up on the half court line. You have this half court line that we printed enables you to make sure that it's straight on the actual game line. You then want to pull it down. It's a 1-inch overlap here because this is not to scale. It's actually no overlap on this one, but we provide you a 1-inch overlap about that wide so that you have room to play. And you want to line up here. And once you line it up here and you're lined up here, again it's crooked there, I line it up here, it's lined up here, then you want to look where the registration is on the decal in areas where the white needs to line up. You can see that although I'm lined up here and here on the center court line, my registration is wrong. It's wrong here as well, and it's actually not even fitting here. So you want to make sure you're straight on the center court line, but then adjust your registration, move the decal so that your registration's on, and here your registration's on. Once you have it, don't move it. You want to anchor the top and bottom again. Make sure the panel is anchored down first. I'm being a little sloppy with the tape. And then you want to take another hinge. You want to hinge the piece down. Be generous with the tape. Go beyond, well beyond the decal. And then again, you want to anchor this side of the decal down. Now on these rounded sides, you want to put a piece probably here to anchor it, and then another piece here to anchor it, so that you make sure that this side is anchored down. And then again, it's the same process. You just peel this, you pull this back, and again, it's better to pull the paper off the decal versus trying to pull the decal. Don't do it like this and pull the decal off the paper. Fold it back and pull the paper off the decal. Cut it. This is a dangerous part because this is all exposed right now. Have someone walk it over carefully. They're sort of pulling it a little bit to make sure that it's nice and straight, but don't pull it too much because you could pull the hinge off the floor. And as they do that, nice gentle strokes back and forth, gently, gently. If you get a bubble, pull it up a little bit, start it again, and then put it down. If you get a bubble that you can't work out, that's all right. You press it out, take an X-Acto blade or something sharp, pop a little hole at one end of the bubble, and then take your squeegee and press the air out. Then you'll put the other side down. And then you do the same thing with the third panel. You line it up and you put it down. Now, when you're done with the whole decal, you might find that the edges don't perfectly match up with the game line. Or you might find that during shipping, a little corner, an edge of this decal was a little wrinkled. It's kind of messy, and so when you put it down, there's a little messy piece there that just is not sticking real well. Just take an X-Acto, because you have a 1-inch overlap, take an X-Acto and just cut that piece out. Just like that, take it away. Now here you're seeing white, but if this decal were down, when you peel away this piece, you're going to see a little black, so you'll be okay. No one's going to notice that. Same thing with your edges. If for some reason you put it down, and I'm exaggerating here, but if you put down the third panel and it ends up like this, where the registration at the end of the decal is off, all you do is once it's on the ground, you just take your X-Acto and you just trim it. And you can eyeball this. You have the game line to help you guide you. And just sort of trim a piece off so that when you peel it away, peel this piece away, you're going to end up, it's going to look like that.